I want to win. And if I don't win, I ain't giving up.
Started his business from nothing, that was 2018. Came top salesman in the country, multiple times had a dream. He would scale up his company and train thousands of people. Give you knowledge and teach you, don't let the problems defeat you. Launching Profit Rocket.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Profit Rocket podcast. This is episode number 17. I'm your host, Victor Rancour. Today we have an exciting guest. This is a guy that started his business 30 months ago in a market that's very difficult. You got to have highly skilled people. You got to have your licenses. It's a very hard market to grow in on the East Coast. In 30 months, he's grown this business and operated mostly out of his house, but is able to grow this thing into a multi-million dollar business that some lucky person some days would be able to come in and buy. And we're going to talk a little bit about his journey, but I have an exciting guest. His name is Kenneth Byrne. He runs a company. He's the CEO of Call the Bee out in Connecticut. Kenneth, man, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, brother? How's everything?
Huh? It's 18. Oh, it's fine. He's gonna edit that. Well, I'm not starting over. He said it is number 18, so but whatever. We'll just move forward. So I did mess up on that. This is podcast number 18. It feels like we just started this thing, but we're already getting rolling. This is number 18. So Ken, man, welcome to number 18. I'm excited to have you, man. Like we've been obviously I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast. We've been conversating back and forth over the last couple of years, and I've been kind of watching your business go from, this little business startup to all of a sudden there's these little beehives running all over the town. So
right.
A little bit about where the Call to Bee came from, how you started this business, and then we'll talk a little bit about your journey and being able to scale. Because a lot of my listeners, right, I'm in a small market, right? Oh, it's so hard to hire people. Oh, it's so hard to grow. I don't have that much capital. And I feel like you really started just like all the other guys that are listening and complaining, but you're able to make something happen. So let's jump a little bit into, where you came up with the idea and how you started with this business.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea of Call the Bee came from my name's Kenny Byrne, so Kenny B. A lot of people call me Kenny B. So, and I got a problem. Like I have to stay busy all the time, and so I'm always working on something or building something. So my wife's like, Kenny B, let's call this Call the Bee, right? Because everyone around here calls me for help. So it was just fitting, and there's just a lot of marketing that you can do around a bee. You know what I mean? So we went with it, and we had Dan Antonelli rebrand us. We made this decent brand. We wanted it to be flashy. We wanted to stick out when we drove by. We wanted people to actually stop what they were doing and have to look at this happy bee, right? So one of our things that is on the trucks and that we hire and fire based on is happy, productive professionals. That's something that we have trademarked. All the businesses that we operate. We hire and fire around that principle because, dude, I'm a happy guy. Like negativity, I get rid of that shit in my life. If people are negative, you can't be a part of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Because it's just it's contagious and people want to be a part of it. And then people come and they're like, wow, this is amazing. This is not something I've ever seen before. So people are like, they're attracted to it and they want to find out what it's about. It's just like, I've had so many people come in our office and they're like, this is unbelievable. And I'm like, you know what, it is, but I promise you, give us a shot. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be very surprised. And if I'm wrong, dude, you can come and personally tell me I'm an asshole, but I can guarantee that's not going to be what's coming out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's pretty much it, man.
I mean, obviously, circling back to the bee thing, and I think of like, okay, I'm a father, right? I got 3 little kids, and I'm driving down the road, and I see my kids, and my kids are like, "Daddy, the bee, the bee, the bee." I can imagine like that's kind of what happens. Is that kind of something you guys get out there?
Oh yeah, 100%. And the biggest thing is why we had Dan Antonelli rebrand us a little bit. It was I needed this thing to come alive and be 3D because the whole thing is like we want, like I said, when we have go by. Just like you said, the kids are like, oh, look at the bee, right? So I was like, how can we animate this thing and then teach kids from a young age, just call the bee, right? For what? Everything. Just call the bee. So we're going to start making cartoons, and we started to have a few of them, and we're just going to teach kids, growing up, you just call the bee for whatever you need, right? So
that's huge, right? So like there's a lot of guys in California that have been around for a long time, right? Like we have the smell good plumber, right? Like that thing has been around since I was a little kid, and it got ingrained in my brain as a kid through the radio and advertising and stuff like that. And that's who you call. Like, I'm like, I call Mike Diamond for plumbing. That's who we think
Right.
about, right? And the same thing, there's like an Audi do. And you really got to create, like, obviously that's trying to create a generational business, right? And like for us, like we tied ours in, to the radio, and obviously my daughter's on the radio, and we have our little jingle, and she's on there. And dude, you'll be little kids, we drive by, we stop, and they start saying absolute airflow, and it's you get the kids saying it, and then it's hard for the parents. I remember, and I always talk about the story. One of my sales reps calls me, right, and he says, "Hey Vic, I got this guy here. He really wants to move forward, but we're more expensive than the other guy." And he's like, I start talking to the customer. He's like, "Yeah, my daughter just sings your freaking radio ad all day long," and I said,
Right.
My only concern, Mr. Smith, and I don't remember the customer's name, but my only concern is that you go with somebody else, they don't do a very good job, and all your daughter is doing is singing my jingle around your house. I don't know how you're going to feel about that, but it probably pissed me off. And the guy laughs. Yeah, and then he laughs, and we end up, us closing the deal. So if you can get the kids involved, that's a big deal. So I really like the brand. I really like the logo. I think it's something that, it's great. And if you're a startup right now, and you're thinking like, hey, I'm going to name my business, whatever your last name is, Heating and Air. Really think about something that's going to resonate with people. I think that's what I did. I don't know how you did it, but like for me, I remember the night I said I'm going to start a business. I laid on my living room floor, and my wife said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." I'm freaking writing out all these different names and all these things. Right. I'm going back and forth, and I knew day one I didn't want to be my last name or C&L Mechanical or some shit like that. You know what I mean? I wanted to be something that was memorable. And then importantly, as you probably know, like sellable, right? Like if I'm a private equity or if somebody coming in, I don't want to buy a last name. I want to buy a name that we can resonate with everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. And I mean, it all goes back to, with the recruiting too, like you got to have a story, you got to have something that people can get bought behind and want to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? So everyone wants to do their last name. Then it's about the owner. It's not about the team. You know what I'm saying? Everything we do here is about our team, dude. I'm just here. I'm a smiling face. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to coach people and to make them better and provide a dream or, at least a vision of where we can go. And if you want to follow what we do, you're going to do really well, unless you just can't do it. And that's you. That's not me. Right.
Yeah. So, and do you want to talk a little bit about that? Obviously you've been around the block a couple of times. You've grown a great business in the past, and we'll cover that a little bit, but like heading into this one, is that a thought that came to your head? Like obviously your second go around, are you really putting any thought into, hey, an exit or stuff like that as you're going in trying to build this business? Because like a lot of guys just go in and they start a business, but there's like no end game in sight. Did you have an end game on this? Do you have like, obviously, I don't know now, but I mean, most guys now, they have an end game. Were you thinking about that when you're thinking of the name and thinking how you're doing business?
Well, I mean, obviously we all know that someday there is an end goal. No one really knows what it is. You know what I mean? People pop in and out of your life, especially, when you're like yourself and myself, and we put ourselves out there every single day. We're always on there putting pictures and showing people what we're doing, getting excitement. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the, community engagement, right? When we're getting used to people, we got our faces out there. People are getting used to who we are, what we're about. And then they start calling us, right? So, I mean, you never really know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But our message has always been to our people that, Kim and I, one day we're not going to be here. You know what I'm saying? Because my goal is to take this brand nationwide. I think it's a pretty dope brand. It's very memorable. And when we're driving by people and they literally stop watching their kids, pushing, they literally stop and just, wow, you know what I mean? And smile. I'm like, dude, we got their attention. Let's use this. You know what I'm saying? So it's still a goal of mine. And hopefully we're going to find a company to back us and we can bring this, bring my dream true of bringing this nationwide. So, you never know.
Pretty badass. So,
but the biggest thing was, Vic, is that I've always conditioned my people that, listen, in order for me to do my goal, which is to bring this nationwide, one day I'm not going to be here. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been upfront with my people that something one day is going to happen, whether, hey, this is the great thing, right? If I'm not here, that means you get to move up in the company, right? And then I'm just not a crutch for everybody. Because if everyone has to come to me for every single answer and they can't think on their own, this place is not moving forward at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's really helped me just educate my people that, hey, listen, man, there's going to be opportunity for growth here. One day we're not going to be here. We trust you. That's why we hired you. And, you're going to be able to move up in this company and, make more money and then have the opportunity to grow people under you. Because if you can't grow people, you can't move up in the world. So
And
I mean,
that's something that's important. Like if you're listening to this and you're starting your business, it is important to involve people. Like let them know what your goals are, your aspirations are. Because like that was one thing when I grew my business. I said, hey, I was able to attract guys early that were very talented, right? And people are like, how were you able to get it? I'm like, I sold them on a vision, right? Like, hey, look, as this business grows, you're gonna have all this opportunity. If you're
right,
working at a company that's 20 years old already, there's no opportunity there. Like it's gonna be very granular, it's very corporate.
right,
Here, you're gonna find where you fit in. And the cool thing is the more people that I hire, the higher you move up with it. And obviously I had that same conversation. But if you guys are listening, it's very, very powerful to speak that message, right? And really sell the
right,
vision. Because when people buy in on a vision, they'll work harder, right? If they're
right.
just working for a company, but if they're working for a goal, an aspiration, and a vision, they're going to work a lot harder than they are now.
Well,
So,
most people need somewhere to go. You know what I mean? And as the leaders of these companies, if we don't even have a vision of where to go, then they're just walking around like, what should we do? You know what I'm saying? No, listen, our job is to continue to grow this company so that people have opportunities. Because if we don't continue to, once something stops growing, it starts dying. 20% per month. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't continuously talk about it and then have leadership training, right? You got to have leadership training because dude, these people, they're just going to run around and do whatever they want. So if you're not teaching them and talking to them about how they should be acting and how they should be treating the employees, you know what I mean? Replicate what I'm doing. Everything I do here is for a reason. It's by design. I use that a lot. Everything we do is by design, right? I'm happy by design. We're talking about and training people to do the jobs that I don't want to do anymore, because never be afraid to lose. If you move up or we hire somebody or we train you to do a job, or you train someone else to do your job, that means you can move up. We're not replacing you. You've been an awesome employee. You know what I'm saying? We want to give you more opportunity if that's what you want to do. Not everyone wants to grow, but most people do. But you got to give them the opportunity. You got to train them how to do things properly. And if you do, dude, like they don't even need me here. I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm walking around cashing, what do they say? Cashing checks and kissing babies or whatever, right? Like
yeah.
I'm this happy guy. Like they're excited to see me when I come, right? Because they know they're working for someone that's really awesome and giving them an opportunity to continue to grow, and not just, around here dictating, you got to do this and you got to do that. No, here's the game plan. It's been very successful. This is our third company in a row now that we've been able to do it from, 0 to 8 million in 24 months. So it's working. So if you want to be a part of this and part of what we're doing here, just follow this and, give us ideas and we'll tweak it as we go. If you got some really great ideas, we'd love to hear them about them. You know what I'm saying?
And that's one thing we'll talk about a little bit too, because obviously this isn't your first rodeo, right? Like, man,
Nope.
some of the guys out there might be their first rodeo. It's not yours. You've been around for a while. You've gone this, like you said, this is your third business at this point. You want to talk about obviously, your past businesses a little bit. Some of the stuff that you might have failed on or you didn't really think about that you've actually implemented and been able to start this new business and say, hey, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this, this, and this, and how I'm going to grow it. Because your first business is like your practice, right? Like, and I had the same conversation. Like, the first one is like, dude, like you don't know what you're doing. You're just learning by the fly. I'm in that position, like absolute airflow. Like, dude, I had to learn a lot of bad shit and do a lot of stupid shit. And like, it put me in a bad position. But like, I know now, like any business that I go into, I won't make those same mistakes again. So you want to talk a little bit about maybe, your other businesses, some of the mistakes you made and some of the things that you made sure, like going into this one, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
Right. So let's talk about this, right? I used to be an asshole, right? You can, my brother's been with me 20.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, it's me. I'm the asshole too.
Right. I can tell you I'm not anymore, right? I've lost some really great people in the past just because, dude, I let my ego get in the way. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's not about me. So I learned to change. Like my wife helped me with that, right? She's like, listen, if you really want to do something in this world, you have to, it's called appealing to the masses, right? So as long as I can appeal to the most people, we're going to get the most people that want to join us and and contribute and be part of what we're building here. So that was not me. You know what I mean? I had the biggest ego because I'm the youngest person in the history of Connecticut to ever get the contractor's license. So I was proud of that, right? So, and when you're young like that, you know what I'm saying? I started my first company at 19. So dude, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was lucky that my family, grew up in a house building, right? My parents built houses their entire life since I was 3 years old. So I was engrossed in that. So, and then my mother's brothers always owned businesses. So we had the entrepreneurial spirit in our family, which also helped. So it helps that when you grow up in a family that there's business, you have people to ask questions to, right? So yes, we've messed up, we made some mistakes along the way, but it definitely helps kick charge that and help you make less mistakes, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, you have to learn from your past mistakes, right? And some mistakes are difficult to learn from, right? Like I've had to pay some very difficult mistakes, and me and you have talked about it before, but it's like I wouldn't trade any of that shit. Like, you
Right.
start at 19. Like, I wish I got to start at 19 because it gives you an extra life, right? Like, you got to double, you
Right.
get to go again and again, right? So, like, for the guys that are listening that are young, it's like if you're going through some weird shit right now, business is difficult. Just look at it as like most of you guys that are listening probably didn't go to college, right? Like, you guys are getting your education. Like, you got to pay for education somehow. So,
Right.
you pay for college, you're going to pay it through the School of Hard Knocks.
Right.
And one thing I always tell guys, especially that are starting out, is like, dude, you got to gamble a little bit, dude. If you're young, you got opportunity. You can fail and rebuild your whole life again. But if you sit back and you don't take those opportunities and you kind of like hoard everything and like, I don't want to spend the money, I don't want to do this, dude, you're going to be stuck there forever.
Right.
So
and you have to trust people.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
Verify. Right.
Well, it's one of the big things for me. Like, I have bad ADHD, right? So like I can't focus on things. So I put people around me that can do a lot of stuff, and I trust them, and I pay a lot of money for it because I know that if I'm an idea guy, right? So I'm an idea guy. I'm not an integrator, period. Like, I'm gonna come up with an idea. I need someone else to go run into the fucking finish line for me. I'm gonna hand the ball off, and I could throw some touchdowns here and there, but I'm not running that shit in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me and anybody in your business, are you more of the integrator, or are you more of the the idea guy, and you say, hey, go run the play?
So I'm very lucky I possess both. Okay. I'm very good at coming up with ideas, and either I write the script or I write a very detailed SOP on it, right? And then I'll either build a video or I'll just give it to my team and say, listen, this is the play, let's run it. Okay. And we'll tweak it as we go. So that's one of the biggest things, is that you can have ideas, and then if you don't have someone that can implement it, that's a problem, right? Because if we're just running around with ideas and then no one can put it in play, nothing happens, right? So what I took from Ken Goodrich's book, right, is that you can't expect people to do what is in your head unless you show them how you want to do it, or at least put it in paper and say, hey, this is how we should run this play. And if you have any ideas, let's talk about it. We can readjust things, right? But to be in the mind process or thought process that you're going to hire somebody or bring someone into your business and they're just going to bring it to the next level. Well, guess what? If they were bringing it to the next level, they'd have their own business. They'd be doing it already. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to think outside the box. You got to be able to really trust, like I said, trust people. Because if you can't trust people, then you're always going to be second guessing, or, oh, this guy's stealing this from me, or this, you know what I mean? This guy's fucking everything up. And really they're not. You're just not guiding them. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, if they were the ones with the ideas, they'd have their own business. They'd be out there crushing it themselves, and you'd be working for them. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's one of my biggest failures as growing my business too, is that first off, I thought that everybody thought and operated like I do. And
Right.
that people I always think that people think like I do and think like you do, right?
Right.
In reality, your employees don't, because like you said, if they did, they'd be running their own business.
Right.
And one of the things I would do is I would go say, hey, go do this. Well, I didn't realize that they weren't capable of doing it, or I wouldn't follow through with it. And that's part of my ADHD thing that I didn't realize in the beginning, is that I give them stuff, but like they needed to be handheld and or kind of like really guided to it and really held accountable. And I still struggle with accountability. Like, I'm like, hey, go do it. And I'm just hope and pray that people are going to do shit. And They don't. So one thing you have to do is make sure that obviously you're putting checks and balances in place, putting reports in place, putting in things that are going to make sure that those things are getting followed through with, because there's so many moving pieces. This isn't like, it's kind of crazy that we even do this business, because there's so many other easier businesses to run out there that we have every moving piece. We have trucks on the road. We have customers. We got call center reps. We have like all these egos that you have to deal with anytime with sales or any of that stuff.
Right.
And it's not an easy business to run. And if you don't run it right, the margins suck. Right. It's not like some of my business I run that's like, dude, I got an 80% margin on this thing. This is great. I don't have the stress. This is like, there's this much between winning and losing in this, and going from a 5% to a 20%. And that little stuff is the important stuff that you got to really focus on. So we could talk business all day, but I want to talk a little bit about obviously Call to Be. And you're in Connecticut, right? Connecticut is not like California where I can take the guy that's flipping burgers and turn him into an HVAC tech tomorrow. Right. They have to go through their training course. They got to go through their apprenticeship and all that stuff. And so it makes it a little bit harder to scale. You have that against you, right? You're starting a brand new business from scratch, a new brand, new everything in a market that doesn't have extreme heats, right? Like the weather in Connecticut is very cold in the winter, and then it's not crazy. It's a little mild or
it's humid, so we got that on our side.
You got the humidity, but it's not like a market where like anybody like Ken Goodrich wouldn't say, I want to go build a business in Connecticut, right? Like that's not what he wants to do.
Right.
So you're in a hard market and you decide to start this business. What was the things that you did immediately to implement to start getting customers? Because that's what everybody always asks. How do you get your customers? What were you doing immediately to start getting customers in the door?
So like I said it a little while ago, community engagement. Okay. I used to go on every single Wednesday and do Wednesday, right? We had asked a question, got people, if they liked or commented, they would get entered to win. And then we gave them a $25 gift card, got people. You have no idea the engagement that it got and how many people played that because they wanted to play games, right? And it was during COVID. So we started this business on May 14th of 2020, the week that COVID hit, right? And I was like, dude, everyone's shutting down. Everyone's scared. And I said, we're not doing that. I'm going to go out there and tell people that we're here, who we are, right? One of my old partners, she said, we're hiding in plain daylight. And I'm like, what do you mean we're hiding in plain daylight? Like you have wrapped trucks, you're advertising that you're doing this and we're hiding in plain daylight. No wonder this is failing. You know what I'm saying? No, we need to let people know that we're here. Right. And then we need to tell them what we do, because if they don't know what they do, they're just going to call the bee. They think we're beehive people, or like, you know what I mean? Like I can tell you that because people know who we are and exactly what we do, we get like 2 calls a year for people that want us to come and do pest control. You know what I'm saying? We would tear that up. We should probably do that next.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you already got the brand. I mean, I think the other thing, talking to you too, is like you started out, you take work. Like if people want to give you money, you do shit.
Right.
Like, you want to talk a little bit about that? Because there's like jobs that other people wouldn't do, but you're like, dude, you've been in construction your whole life. So you're like, I'll take that shit. That's money. So I think you were doing like some remodel stuff and stuff like that when I talked to you a couple of years ago. I don't know what you guys are currently doing, but were you guys still doing that stuff, or that was just like, hey, let's get some money in the door?
Right. So, I mean, obviously when you first start out, you got to do whatever you can do to pay the bills. So since then, that we only probably did that for like a year. You know what I'm saying? Now we specialize in very specific things, right? We replace furnaces, boilers, we install ductless, we replace air handlers and condensers, we do boilers, you know what I'm saying? Like very niche things, because if you're all over the place and you're doing new construction and then you're replacing stuff, right? And then you never get really good at one thing, right? So
yeah,
when you do new construction or you do, full retrofits where you got to go in a house and add all the ductwork, that takes a really different skill than just being able to go to a house, replace a piece of equipment, have everything that the guy needs plus, so that they never have to leave the job. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we try and only replace equipment, and that's what we go after, right? Because it's scalable, it's repetitive, right? So we could teach the guys on a process of, when you get to the house, you're going to do this. The apprentice should be doing this. The installer should be doing this. Everyone does a job all the way down to the end. And guess what? We just got this job done in a half the time of everybody else, and we got to charge the same price.
Yeah. So one of the things you guys like they don't realize it, especially in the beginning, because same way, man, I took everything we did in California. A lot of houses don't have even central heating or anything. So we were you're cutting them in, putting them in attics, doing ductwork, all these shitty jobs. And it's like, you get excited because you're like, I got a big ticket, it's like $27,000, right? Oh, 20 grand. And I'm like, cool. Well, then it takes you 5 days to get the job done. Okay. So your gross profit on that job was probably 30%, but we didn't know that back then. We're just installing shit and moving it. So I got a 30% GP, and then I got to spread that GP over 5 days, and I got to pay payroll. I got to pay all these things. And you don't,
and then you lost 5 days of markup.
You lost 5 days
on the job.
You lost 5 days of markup. So you get your ass kicked. And like, now it's like, okay, now it's a change out. It's 20 grand. Right. And I get my GP that day. And when you really start narrowing down what you do, so like this time of year, we'll take some cut-ins here and there. Obviously, you got to keep the guys working and stuff. But like come summertime, we don't do them. We pawn those off to our enemy, because
Right.
Our enemy now is going to have a crew tied up for a week, and I can get
Right.
5 installs in that same amount of time, and they're tied up and they can't help. They can't do anything. So you really got to think about, what makes you money. How do I get more people that like that want to spend money with that product, and how do I get it done as quickly as possible? So obviously you started out, you're doing everything. What is your, everyone always asks, what's your main marketing source? Are you big on Google or Facebook? What was big when you guys started out?
When we first started out, so obviously pay-per-click, everyone does pay-per-click. LSA, we got guaranteed right away. And then just a lot of Facebook, just being in front of people's faces and just letting them know who we are. So, like I said, you can't hide in plain daylight. You got to be out there. You got to tell people who you are. Tell them this, tell them your company's story, what you're about. You're here to help people. You know what I'm saying? Exactly what services that you offer, because then people are just guessing. So, a confused mind says no. If people are out there guessing like, oh, what does this company do? They're going to be looking at pest control or, beekeeping, right? That's what people like. We go to the home shows and they're like, oh, it's like we saw it online. There's a company here that's doing beekeeping. Is that you? Or teaching lessons on how to make honey? And I'm like, nah, they're down the road. They're in the other aisle. We're a plumbing, heating, cooling company. They're like, oh, that's kind of confusing. And I'm just like, well, it's not, because we actually tell people what we do. You know what I'm saying? But if you got someone there that's doing the same thing or similar, not the same thing, but they have a similar name, dealing with bees or whatever, and they're there to teach you how to make honey, they're obviously going to come up. They come to us first because we're there. You can't even miss us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're attracted to that.
So yeah, like when you're done with that beehive one, come over here. I'll give you a jar of honey for a free for a tune-up. Come here.
Right. Exactly.
And people don't understand like the importance of that stuff, because like a lot of guys I talk to, like, I'm like, what are you doing for marketing? Well, I got my website live and I got this live, and I'm like, okay, but like, how are you getting out to people? Because people don't just go, they're never going to go to your website unless they know you. Right. Like most of my searches on my website are organic, that they typed in my name and they went to the website. Right. So they had to figure me out. Right. You got to be loud in the beginning. And ways that, like, obviously we were in, like, obviously every community group you could be in, Nextdoor app, all those things, so like that are free shit. Like, and I talk to contractors every day. I'm like, not even doing the free shit. Like, you can't do don't do the free shit. You're dumb. And then like the same thing, if I go to your Facebook, I know what you do.
Oh yeah.
I know that Kenny B is about his air conditioning company. He's the guy I called to. You go to my Facebook, there's going to be everything about the businesses that I run. You're going to know what I do. How many of you guys, and I'm going to tell you, whoever's listening, go do an audit of yourself. If you don't even know who you are, if no one knew who you were, they went to your page, would they know what you do? Right. Do they know what business you run? Do you know what type of, if you have a business, what kind of work do you guys do? Stuff like that. These are the free things that these guys don't even freaking capitalize on that shit. You can't do the free shit right. When you start doing the paid shit, it's going to become a nightmare.
It's going to run you over.
It's going to run you over. So we got this business. We started middle of COVID. Not the smartest man on the planet, but we'll let you slide on that one.
Well, I think I am pretty smart, because when everyone else was shutting down, we were letting everyone know we're here. So
that's true, but it's a scary freaking thing, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like the East Coast was even worse for COVID than even over on the West Coast. But I feel like over there, like, you guys had a lot more issues that shutdowns and stuff like that. So you started this business during COVID. You've grown it to now. What is your revenue going to be this year?
We're probably going to double again, and we should do around 15 million to 16 million.
So $15 to $16 million in that short of a period of time. And did you have a lot of startup capital, or what was your? Obviously, people always ask, how much money did you start with, right? Did you have a bunch of startup capital?
$2,000.
$2,000.
I've started every single business with $2,000.
So if you guys are listening and you're like, how much money do I need to start? Oh, you had all this money. I started with 10. So I started with 10. He started with 2. And in 30 months, he's been able to grow a business that's going to do $15-16 million this year, which is first off, congratulations. That's freaking badass. Secondly, right, like, you're able to grow it, and you grew it very smart. So, one of the things I resonated with me when we first talked a couple years ago is like, no, I don't have an office. What the hell do I need an office for? That's just a waste of money. Right. And so often these guys, they start their business and they go get a big office and all this stuff and all this overhead and all this shit, and then they don't really need it. You want to talk a little bit how you were able to operate your business without having an office?
Right. So the biggest thing is that, like I said, I wanted to take this business. I wanted to take a brand or a business that we did nationwide, right? So if we're not thinking nationwide, we can't go nationwide. And my biggest thing was, how can we operate this business brick and mortar-less, right? So with no buildings, like nowhere for people to go. It was COVID, so it actually made us think about this and have to do it. so that we made it so that people could work from their homes and we could still scale this business. So that's one thing that helped us with this whole thing is we had to think outside the box. We had to think, okay, we can't be around people. So how can we set this business up so that people can work from home and we can still scale this, communicate with our people so that they can still get the training they need to continue to operate the way that we need this business to operate and get the message out. So really it helped us. It actually forced us to think differently, right? So, and the biggest thing is the first business that I started, we started in 2006. So I had a really awesome year, right? Of growth the first year that we went in business, and then 2008 the recession hit. So I've already been through it, you know what I mean? So that was very lucky that we've been already had to deal with a recession, right? And I did the same thing back then. Back then, that's what Facebook became, right? We remember you could only just talk on Facebook, and then all of a sudden people started posting pictures, right? Yeah. And I saw that and I took advantage of that. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to fucking post pictures nonstop, right? This is new and I'm going to take this to the next level. So we started creating videos, and then they let us start putting videos. So, dude, I went to my grandmother's house. We installed a ductless system there, and I took a video with a drone. I had a company come and drone, and no one was doing this at the time. So we took that company from 5.4 million in commercial work, transformed it in 1 year after joining Nexstar to 5.4 in residential because I was done with the commercial world. I didn't want to deal with that. It was so unorganized, like couldn't make any money, ridiculous, right? And brought that from literally from 0 to 12 million in 3 years. So that was pretty cool. So all we did was take the practices and the principles that we did back then, and then just supercharge it now with our new brand. So.
And it's important, right? Like even like right now, what's really big on social media right now that people can attack, and that's the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok Reels, right? Like people don't understand how powerful these things are, and how like Facebook right now, they don't give a shit if you post words. They don't want your words. They ain't going to show that to anybody. You post a picture, don't give a shit. But if you post a reel right now, reels are going to get the most attention, most people looking at them and consistently being in front of them. So you have to really think about the market and pivot to it. And how can I implement that kind of stuff into my business? And if you're not using content, you're not using content creation in your business, you're failing because people aren't going to see you as much. And it's free, dude. Like TikTok, in some of my videos, I'll get 15, 16,000, 100,000. I got one that's like 7 fucking million people looked at my video.
Right.
So the 7 million people at least have seen my face before.
Right.
How crazy is that? And that was free. $0 were spent on that. So stuff like that is what you really have to think about and really understand the new generation. I think was it me and you that talked a little bit about the AI stuff? Are you doing any of that kind of stuff in your business currently, or?
Yeah, so we've automated as much stuff as possible, and that's just how you can be efficient. That's how you can get your net profit up, right? So if you need a ton of people to run your business, that means you either just have to charge astronomical, right, to be able to afford them, or figure out how to have things automated where, we have all of our Facebook. We have automated answers that we pre-did. When people ask this, Facebook says that, right? Just go right to our website. You don't even have to talk to anybody, right? We have our call booking is automated. You go online. We literally push everyone to our website, and the first thing that pops up is, here's a form. What do you want? This is what we do. What do you need? And then someone's going to get back to you right away. You know what I'm saying? So, and then on top of that, every other job. So what's another really important job that needs to be done, right? Ordering equipment and scheduling jobs. We made a process so that it's literally as easy as possible, so that if my girl that does the ordering or the job coordination is out, I can stick anyone in that position, and hey, listen, these are the 5 things that you need to do to get this job off and rolling, right? So it's literally taking a step back, thinking about your business, all the key things that run your business, right? And then putting a process and procedure into them and making it as simple as possible so that there's as little clicks as possible. Okay. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. And the other thing is, what that does is when you push people to your website traffic, Google analyzes that. So Google wants to send people to relevant sites, right? So people are going to them all the time. It's going to help your SEO too. The more time people spend on your website, the higher you're going to start getting ranked on Google. And they read those analytics. So if Google's really big. So if you have a bounce rate on your website, people want information fast, right? It's the new generation. We want it in seconds. We want to make sure if your website's not set up for your phone correctly, you're losing customers. So Google wants to send people there. They want to know that they can get the information they want, and they're actually going to stick on that website. They want sticky things. So if they send you there and the bounce rate keeps happening, they'll start ranking you lower too. So it is important. What we just said is really go through that customer journey on your website and figure out when they get there, are they getting what they want quickly? And when they get there, what's their bounce rate? What's their book rate? So if you look at mine, that's one of our biggest focuses, watching our bounce rate, because we have like 2,000-3,000 people that go to our website every month organically, probably more than that, like triple that in the summer. And they go there organically. We want to make sure they're not losing those people, because those are the easiest, best leads you can get if someone goes to your website, right?
Right. So not only that, if you make it frustrating to the customer, dude, I'm moving on, right? Because now, dude, how is Facebook now, right? You're flicking through, and if something doesn't stick out, you're just keeping going, right? So if someone has to go on your website and there's a bunch of information that they have to fill out, and it's hard and drawn out, dude, I'm already frustrated and I don't even want to work with this company. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make everything as easy as possible and as streamlined as possible to make it as easy as possible for people to do business with you. And then they're going to want to do more business with you. So
awesome. So you guys have now got a little bit of game here. So if you guys are listening to this, like, obviously we're on here trying to give you guys a little information. The point of this podcast is that when you listen to it, it's stuff you can implement. And really, like, what I'm hearing is really audit your business, right? Audit your overhead, audit like how much it's really costing you to run your business, what's important, what's not important, what's driving revenue, what's not. And then also let's make the ease of that customer. Let's make the processes, like really think about that, not even just the customer experience, but even the employee experience. Like what happens when you sell a job? The job's getting pulled, because a lot of people don't realize the frustration that happens on the install side, right? Because they're like kind of the forgotten people. And if you don't have that production side set up to where their job's easy, they come in the morning, their jobs are set up, they got everything they need, you're able to get that stuff quickly. It's organized. The installers start hating their job too. I mean, you want to talk a little bit about how, obviously fixing that efficiencies made your installers happier, because people don't think about it, but dude, installers want to come in, get their shit done and get home for the most part, right? Right.
So these are kids that we're dealing with, right? So our average guy here is 24 years old. So they want to go home and play video games, right? That's just what these kids want to do. That's what makes them fun, right? So what we did was we picked the 5, 6, 7 things that we're going to do here. We made kits for them so that they get every single part that they need. Really thought, okay, what do we need to do this job, right? We're doing a furnace. A furnace comes with everything plus the kitchen sink. And if they don't need it, who cares? Just bring it back tomorrow and they're going to refill it so that you can come in, grab all your stuff, throw your stuff away, make your truck clean, restock it, okay, with anything that you used the day before, because we have a specific bin system in every single truck, a customized shelving system in every single truck with the restocking program that we built into Service Titan, okay, so that if they use something, it sends an email across the street to the supply house that's right across the street, so that I don't have to have a bunch of shit sitting in my supply house that's going to get dirty or banged up, and then we can't sell it anyways and just gets thrown out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's like, dude, every kid that comes in here and applies, I sit them in my office and I said, can you tell me what you think is in the back over there? Like, what do you imagine is in the back of this building, right? And everyone says it's probably a room full of parts. Yeah, because that's what you're used to, right? No, we have a training facility back there that's 2 classrooms, live fire stuff, and we're going to train you how to do your job properly instead of filling it with a bunch of crap that's going to sit there. Is sitting on, sucking up money on the bottom line, so we have none left over. Someone's going to bang it up, or it's going to get all dusty and black, and then we can't even install it in someone's house. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just, we created a circuit. The supply house is across the street by design. The guys go to the supply house in the morning. They dump all their trash over there so that our building stays nice and clean, and it's a nice facility, and people are proud to come here every day, right? They drop off all the equipment, and the equipment money that they get that we put over there pays for the trash, so I don't have to deal with that anymore, right? Then they come over here. They got, every installer has their own bay, has all the equipment, has every single part that they need, a completely written job summary so that they know exactly what's going on with pictures, so that, dude, they can look it up the night before and prepare for today instead of showing up, right? And I don't want to go into it too much because then it's going to blow my whole thing that we're going to talk about at Profit Rocket, right? you read it up. We're gonna paint this picture for people of this shitty ass business, right? And then the business that we created here that people are flocking to and want to be a part of because we make it as easy as possible for people to come and do their job, and then they can go home and not only do their job, enjoy coming to do their job. They're not stressed out having to go to the supply house halfway through the day or don't have nothing to do the job. So they're already like, shit, get back to the job. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I still got to get this job done. So they're just stressed out nonstop. Dude, it's a smooth day for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people want to work here, because we make it as easy and enjoyable as possible to come and do your job, make really good money because we're so efficient, right? So we could pay them more to do it. Okay. And then they get to go home and have themselves a great time, whether they want to hang out with their girlfriend or boyfriend, their kids, whatever they want to do. They want to play video games all night. I don't give a shit. I'm not their dad. I'm just here to make it as, the best working. We're trying to build the best work environment for people, and people are flocking to it and want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, if you guys really dig in and listen, obviously, Ken just dropped a lot of good information right there, right? But really dig into what he said, right? So one of the big things that guys fail on when they start the business, including myself, right? I start my business, and one of the first things I did was go stock my truck. I went and bought $30,000 worth of shit and stocked my truck with all these parts, materials, and all this stuff that these big companies had that I thought was important. But if you really look back to when you were a technician, you never used a quarter of it. You never used any of that shit. But you had it on your van, and it all just fumbled around and got destroyed. So if I'm starting a business, stop buying shit you don't need, right? Stock the stuff that you guys are going to sell, daily, right? You got to have hard start kits. You got to have some capacitors, right? Don't get 1,000,000 capacitors. Get the most popular ones, or get the turbo ones. So you're cutting down on stuff in your truck. Get the fan motors that you're going to use, but only grab a couple of them, right? Grab the stuff that you're going to use every single day, and that's the important stuff, right? And don't overdo it. Don't have to buy a bunch of stuff. So keep it as lean as you possibly can, especially on startup. You got to keep all your cash in hand. And that's kind of what Ken's saying. Like, dude, like, why did we do this? And I remember about a year ago, we have VMI now, so I have a vendor managed inventory in there. So everything's there. We don't pay for it until it comes out. But before, like, I used to go to my warehouse, I'd get so frustrated. I would just look around and I'm like, ding, 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 counting up all the dollars that are just sitting in my warehouse. And I'm like, dude, if I had that in my pocket, that's $100,000, or that's $200,000 worth of stuff sitting there that I'm never going to use. It's beat up, and my guys are just going scraping through it. And then we have no tracking on any of that stuff because it just went back to the warehouse. So really think about it, guys. If you're listening to this, like, how can I operate with less shit? How can I operate with only the stuff that I need? And then how do I streamline it, right? So like for us, we have install boxes and stuff like that. But I'm going to let you, obviously, you let the cat out the bag. We haven't really announced it yet, but, Kenny B is going to be one of our speakers at Profit Rocket. And the reason why I brought him in is because not only has he built a great business, but he's built a business that you guys can emulate. There's a business that you can follow. It's something that he can literally, while he's there, he's going to tell you what to do. How did he grow this business? How did he start a business 30 months ago? And he's going to do freaking $15 million. Like, think about that, guys. And he started with $2,000.
Right.
So, and the big part I want to do it is another guy that's in a hard market. It's not the easiest one to grow. It's not the easiest one to attract talent. He did it in a place where a lot of you guys say it can't be done, or my market's hard, or all these things, and all this woe is me shit. Ken isn't about woe is me. Ken has said how do we get it done? And that's what he's going to be doing at the Profit Rocket Growth Summit in September. He's going to show you how to do it. Now, once he shows you, he gives you all the game. Your decision is, do I get to go implement it? Or I'm going to go in one year out the other, and I'm going to pretend like my market's hard and I can't do anything and no one can do it. So you want to talk a little bit about that and what you think you could bring to the table to the event in September?
Yeah, I mean, so I know all the training that I've ever got, right? I've been fully trained. I don't mean to, we're promoting Profit Rocket here, but I got trained by Nexstar. They were also, they were a really great thing. You're doing a really awesome thing too, but that's just where I got my training. So they taught me that in order to train people properly, you have to paint a picture, right? So that's what this is going to be about. We're going to be up on stage. I'm going to paint a picture of what it's like to work in these shitty companies, right? And I'm not saying you're a shitty company. You're just unorganized, right? Which makes you a bad company. It's why people are frustrated. It's why people leave you. It's why people have, their entrepreneurial seizure. And like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I can do this better. I'm going to go do it on my own. And then the circle just continues to happen because now your employees are coming to you because you're just as jumbled, right? or your company is just as messy, right, as the guy that you left because that's all you knew, right?
Yeah.
And now 8 months later, you hire a couple guys, and then they're coming to quit. They're going to start their own business, and then the cycle just continues, right? So we're going to paint this picture of this is how your business looks like right now, and everyone's going to shake their hand and raise their hand because that's what they do. I've been in and out of a lot of businesses, and then we're going to paint this picture of what a really awesome business looks like, how you need to act, what people are expected to do. You know what I'm saying? And then we're going to teach you how to really know your numbers so that you can compete, right? Because if you don't know your numbers, you know nothing. You can't even take if you have Service Titan, right? Which that's what we do. We were the first Service Titan of the Year award. That was awesome to win. If you don't know what those numbers on the dashboard mean, you might as well just throw it away. You know what I'm saying? Like every single number that's going on in your business tells you a story, right? And the story tells you, I need to do this, or I need to change this, I need to tweak this, I need to train the people on this. And if you don't understand those numbers, dude, just go back to work for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just making it bad for everybody else. The guys that are actually doing a great job and providing people with a really great career. You know what I'm saying? Victor, what does everyone say? My boss is raping people that, you know, they're I can't believe how, and I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give a really great price, and I'm going to show them, and we're going to give the best service with the lowest price. And then they get going, and then they can't take care of their people that they hire. And then, like I said, they're coming in, they're quitting too, because dude, you cannot run your business on the cheapest price. You need to know what it costs to run your business, or you might as well just close up the doors and just come work with us. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to make it way easier for you to do your job. You can make more money, and you're going to be able to go home and without any, you know what I mean? I have no stress because we've created that. You know what I'm saying? But you're just going to continue to making stress, and then your life's not going to get any better. You know what I'm saying? You own a job.
100%. And that's the reality. And it's the same thing we see all the time. And you know, everybody, like you said, start your business. I'm going to undercut their price. I'm going to provide better service and all this shit. And then you end up back in the same boat. So I think, you know, obviously coming to the event, like one of the big things I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up people like you, like myself, and these other guys, and Mario and Amanda, and all these people that are building these great businesses, that are building it today. They started these businesses just a couple months ago, you know, less than 60 months ago. They started businesses that could probably sell today for tens of millions of dollars. And a lot of these guys just don't understand. And what I always tell people is you need to get around people that have done it to prove that it's possible. Like until you see someone that's done it, that's just like you. Ken and me ain't nothing special. We're probably just fixing guys. Now, we were construction guys. We worked our way up. We figured things out. And guess what? When shit happened, we didn't back away. We figured it out and we moved on to the next thing. And what we've been able to do is create checks and balances in place because we fucked up so many times that we know how to fix shit now. And that's the biggest thing. You're paying for knowledge, and that's what it is. And that's what you're paying for when you come to the event. You're paying to skip years. You're paying to skip headaches. You're paying to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. And that's what I always talk about, whether you're with Nexstar, with Profit Rocket, or whatever training it is. Number one goal is to skip from A to B as quickly as possible and not have to go through the bullshit that everybody else that went through it had to go through. So I'm excited to have you on stage, man. Not only are we going to have you on stage speaking, but we're also going to have you on the VIP panel, Q&A panel, which is going to be massive. So anybody that does the VIP tickets, I got some really special guests that are going to be there that are building some amazing businesses that are going to be able to be one-on-one. You know, there's only 200 VIP seats. We're going to be in an intimate setting. Everybody's going to be able to ask questions and learn knowledge and learn from each other. And I'm really excited about it, man. I'm excited to see not only what you do the rest of the year, because I think you guys are building something great. And I'm excited to see you in September, man. I think it's going to be a great event, and I couldn't think of a better person to come up and try to help people.
Appreciate it, man. We're an open book, you know what I'm saying? Like we're all here just trying to revolutionize this industry, right? And if people don't want to think outside the box or change, it's just going to stay bad, and people are going to continue to get away from this industry and not want to do it. But if we can make it as easy as possible for people to do their jobs, right, and make it enjoyable, dude, people are going to start flocking back into the trades. You know what I'm saying? That's Victor and I's job, is to make, and Amanda, I don't want to say her name wrong. I don't talk about her a lot or anything. I really don't pay attention to my competitors. I'm paying attention to what I do, but she's doing an awesome job. All the people that we're going to have on stage this year are doing an awesome job. And we're here to help you guys bring your business to the next level, elevate the whole industry, you know, up to the level it should be, right? So that everyone's charging the right price. As long as you want to listen and do what we have to say, you know what I'm saying? It works, right? And we're proving that it works, you know what I'm saying? So
Time to make the trade sexy again, man. That always tell me
Exactly,
that you want to make it sexy. This ain't your grandpa's business. This is
right.
there's big opportunity out there, and my job is to show you guys the opportunity. So if you guys do want to come to the event, go to events.callprofitrocket.com. Use promo code Rocket23 to get $200 off. Bring your staff. I got everything from call center training, leadership training, sales training, business operations, and everything in between. Recruiting and all that stuff will be in there. So there's going to be something for everybody within your business to come enjoy, have fun, learn, which is the most important. And then we also go to some pretty badass parties. So if you guys like to party, come party with me. We'll have a good time. So Ken, thanks again for coming on. Hey, Ken likes to party. You better bring your brother. Your brother better be coming out. I like that, dude.
He's coming, dude. I got Joey coming out. Kim's coming out, and my brother. So we got an awesome team. Our leadership team's coming out to enjoy this too. So
awesome, man. Well, Ken, thanks for coming on, brother. I know you got some exciting news coming up pretty soon, so we'll have another conversation. And God bless. I hope everything works out, and we'll jump back on.
Appreciate you, my man.
And thanks again to everybody for tuning in to episode number 18 of the Profit Rocket podcast. We have another exciting episode coming up next week, so make sure to like, subscribe, get ready, put on notifications when the podcast comes out, because this will be the best business podcast for the home service industry. Our number one job is not telling stories, it's giving you stuff you can implement in your business to win today. Thank you, guys.
Started his business from nothing, that was 2018. Became top salesman in the country, multiple times had a dream. He would scale up his company and train thousands of people. Give you knowledge and teach you, don't let the problems defeat you. Launching Profit Rocket.